25 years of experience spanning AI research, telecom, fintech, mobility, and financial services. He's somebody who has consistently driven large-scale digital transformation initiatives that deliver measurable business outcomes. His presentation is titled around the AI-ready enterprise, what it actually takes to rewrite a large Indian organization. With that, please join me and give a big round of applause as we welcome on stage Deepak Gupta, Group Chief Technology and AI Officer at Automotive Manufacturers Private Limited.
Good morning, everyone. I think starting at the day, you miss out the age-old joke around the heavy lunch and the car. So I'll skip that. So I'm Deepak. I have been into industry, as been told, for 25 years, being advocate about AI from last 25 years. Seen growing AI as I'm growing along with it. Only thing is that I'm might be growing faster than the AI is becoming smarter than me, and the industry is evolving. And I'm happy to grow along with the industry. So, sorry, just take this. So, a beautiful session where we learned how we build the AI system, how we build the agentic, and I love the perspective that has been shared previously by Pali in the last session. I have definitely some key takeaways. And extending to that, now you have built, and as what Pali suggested, we have done in a way the platform is supposed to be done. But what it takes for an enterprise to become an agentic enterprise or an intelligent enterprise, I will not call it as an agentic enterprise. What it takes to become the enterprise. So if I ask you, what is the hardest thing? What is the one hardest thing that you think in the AI implementation? Anyone like to say that? What is the hardest? Sorry? Fair enough. So if you look at in some totality, it is going around the models, but definitely from my experience, it's not the model anymore. And what Rupali said is rightly that models are rented. You do not have any control, and they are not the hardest part anymore in implementing, because you are getting smarter and smarter models day by day. You are getting the problem that model needs to be solved in a very silent way, and you do not have any control over it. So either we live with that problem, or we smartly build a system where we say, is my enterprise ready to adopt to the agentic mode? If I am ready as an enterprise, as an AI. Just to give you an example, a decade back, so I still don't own a Ferrari, but a decade back when I used to see a Ferrari next to me in a car, what is the first thought we used to get in our mind? What's the point in buying Safari in India? Because our roads are not ready for it, right? What is the point in that? So the models are that Ferrari, and our enterprises are that ecosystem or that platform where that needs to run. Is our ecosystem ready? Is our enterprise ready to run that Ferrari or to have that model run into it? Yes, it will hallucinate. Yes, it will have some problems. Yes, we will need to solve the security. But we still have to see not models is the hardest part. We have to see our organization look inwards to see the hardest part is our organization, right? We can buy tools, right? All security tools, token ops, which Pali mentioned, and many tools that we can have it. But can the tools do the transformation for us? No, they will help in doing the transformation. Enterprise has to go through a transformation, right? The real value, so we buy the tools, we do, but what's the first thing comes into the picture? That we do a POC, we do the pilot. Beautiful, easy. And every tool that we take will successfully do the pilot. I've not seen any vendor failing or any tool failing in doing a pilot. Maybe I'm wrong, but yes, definitely. But what is the required change is the real value that comes out of it. So the pilot succeeds, and why they succeed? They play in silos. There's a one stakeholder at the max, there's one sponsor, one team, clean architecture, team data sources, motivated use cases. But what happens when you go into the production? Why they fail into the production? Is it just because of the model? No. It's because we now start cutting across the enterprise. We have multiple people do this thing. There is a lot of accountability, ownership, which starts splitting and start getting distributed among. Your use cases were working in silos, but when the handshake and the overall end-to-end workflow starts failing because the other parts were never taken into the accountability, right? what it scaling actually requires is not about, when we say like, are you able to scale the model into the production? Are you able to scale the AI into the production? We always think in terms of the infrastructure, like how I'm going to build an infrastructure which is going to scale, which is going to have a probability of succeeding and taking the most of the requests. But the scalability is not about that. Do you have the right cross-functional ownership? Do you have the process redesign? Or are you actually automating or engineering the same old processes which are broken, which are flawed, into the AI way and passing on the baton to the AI and expecting it to do wonders, which is not supposed to be done? Then have you set up the data accountability? As you say, the data is the new oil, but at the same time, your AI is the new refinery. If you give the wrong oil to the refinery, what output you will get, right? I'm not too sure whether how much you are connected. What's the difference between when you say that having a crude oil from X country versus Y country, and your refinery is not ready for the X country fuel, but we're ready for the Y country, is the type of the fuel that is going into the refinery, and so is the AI. If you give the broken data, non-authorized data, not knowing the right source of truth, non-governed data, you cannot expect the AI to do wonders in your enterprise. Okay, so yeah, and though I like the previous term more, but I will say the models are ready, the models are available, and they are having a capability to do the transformation, but is our enterprise is ready? And what it takes to be ready, right? Before an enterprise becomes AI ready, have we done any inward analysis, right? What all I need to change within my organization to make it AI ready? Have I the right roads? Have I have the right fuel to run it? Is I all the controls that it takes to take that speed into accountability, right? So the accountability and the ownership comes later in our mind when we have implemented it, productionized it, and failed it, rather than it coming as a first thing in our mind that how do I control my data, how do I set up the accountability, how do I make a structure which is responsible enough to govern it. You all must be doing RCA, right? One of the most important or interesting RCA is human error. And we all feel very comfortable. Oh, it's human error. We'll solve it with the training. We solve it by, depending on the error, we'll replacing the person or putting another 4-eye check or 6-eye check, or having some pseudo automation to help remove the human error. How are we talking about agentic error? How are we going to deal with the situation when the RCA start coming is, it's an agentic error? Are we ready to accept it? Is our organization ready to take that RCA into account and prepared with the CAPAs, right? Because every incident that happens because of the human, we are too much with the CAPAs, right? What creative action, preventive action we are taking. But are we thinking those terms in the new age of enterprises going to the AI world? And ultimately, we have been hearing the data fragmentation, but if we don't solve it, right, it's very easy to say that, okay, bring the AI enterprise to the AI level. But if we don't solve the data fragmentation, our output, our actionables, as was said telling in the last session, that it's no more about the automating, it's about the decision making, right? Now the agents are taking the decision. The very biggest differentiation between the decade-old AI we were seeing and now is now the agent will decide and act. Now it's no longer if they will inform you or guide you, it is more about decide and act. If they decide and act on the fragmented data, that decision is going to be probabilistically going to be wrong, right? Are we still automating or doing the transformation using our manual workflows, our broken workflows, our non so optimized workflows, and then assume that because we have bring the intelligence and AI into the ecosystem, the output would be very different? It cannot be. Then the next part is like about all the component I can go on, but ultimately they point out to the ecosystem that you have to do an evaluation often at an enterprise level first and see your checklist. Where do I stand in an AI readiness and AI adoption? And that is one most important aspect which has to come before you are running pilot, before you are moving it to your production. That is the theme which I was talking about. What are the 6 things that I will take and start doing it before even if someone in the I'm being part of the leadership and I'm asking my team to do why we are not moving to the AI. What are the 6 things I expect them to take care and ask me how it will be done is about, rightly done, is about data ownership, your workflows, your processes. You have to make the business as part of it, re-engineer the workflows, redefine the workflows, and see where the human in the loops comes in. How do you handle the errors in that workflows when it's happening? What happens when hallucination happens? Is that I have the right exit path when hallucination is happening? What happens? How do I detect the error done by the agent? How do I rectify those agents? How do I do this? What is my decision-making mechanism on top of it? What is my platforms, which beautifully spoken in the last session, I will not touch on because we have seen it beautifully. The governance and the incentive. Sorry, I'm running out of time. So this is what I see as how our co-pilot and the agentic goes into the picture. The co-pilot being the the chatbot, which is just the responsive system where you ask and respond. Then you have the co-pilot, which are clear to you, and then the agentic, which are the actionable and which are the autonomous in nature. And this is what I see as a human-governed autonomy rather than having a full autonomy, where still the agents are being part of and helping the humans to take and optimize their workflow. They are the new laptops, they are new desktop. So we cannot think of any workforce in any industry and any role without a desktop or a computer or laptop to work. That is the same future which is happening, that we will stop envisioning any role in our organization which is not being using the AI to their thing. Again, the governance, I'll just take one more minute. Governance is not the brick, it is a scaling mechanism. So most of the time we think if we put a governance, it will gonna put up a lot of bricks, but that is not the case. Because we want to have a frictionless system, but we cannot have an ungoverned system. So there is a difference between the two, and that difference needs to be taken care while we are planning to do so. And from my perspective, definitely it's my perspective how leaders can plan the next 90 days when they are thinking of how we move their enterprise to the agentic. And these are the key areas which are, from my lens and from my experience being in 25 years into that perspective, are non-negotiable. Either we are acceptable towards a failure or we have to plan this ahead. So decision first, moving it from, so basically what we have seen in automation age is about automating things. Now we have to start thinking of, when we say that if enterprise is ready for AI, are we thinking that is enterprise is ready to absorb the intelligence at scale? Thank you, thanks very much, and I am reachable on LinkedIn, and please, I'm more than happy to have your perspective about my perspective and share your thoughts, how you think what I'm thinking is right, wrong, and add value to each other's life. Thank you, and thank you for listening to this session.
Thank you so much, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Peter.